Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, to wherever you're joining us from today. As Leslie mentioned, my name is Maxwell. I'm Director and Group Lead for CMO Project Management at Samsung Biologics. And today's webinar is going to focus on accelerating tech transfer with an integrated and client-focused project management team. So let's get started. Okay, so our business model. Just to set the tone and give a little bit more background about what we actually do at Samsung Biologics. We have a range of operations within our business, which include CDO from cell line development through to IND filing support. We have additional capabilities outside of the standard large-scale lab production, and this includes multi-specifics, mRNA, and most recently we've introduced a standalone ADC facility, which is now live right across the street from our BioCampus 1. And we also have a Bio R&D center as part of our operations here as well. But for today's webinar, we're going to be taking a deeper dive and focus on our CMO business, particularly our drug substance and our drug product operations. So before we get into that, let's just take a step back and look at the biopharmaceutical industry as a whole and where it is, continuing to grow at a significant pace. Currently it's at about a $500 billion industry and expected to rise to be above $1 trillion industry at least by 2033. So this market is not slowing down, and with all of that growth comes a need for capacity and products to be produced in a range of scales and modalities. Before we get there, we obviously need to do a successful tech transfer. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is how to effectively execute that tech transfer, but also to expedite it and do it as faster as possible. So the faster we can effectively do a tech transfer, it's going to bring products to the market and commercialization stage faster, which helps our clients serve their patients quicker and on time. So to give an overview of our capacity and what we're actually working with here at Samsung Biologics, we have 5 large-scale drug substance facilities, which are all now currently up and running. Starting with Plant 1 incorporates 5,000-liter bioreactors, and we have 6 of those. And this was our first plant, so operational for quite some time now. Plant 2 first introduced 15,000-liter bioreactors. And there's 10 of those in this facility. And we also include 1K scale bioreactors, both single use and stainless steel. And then plants 3, 4, and 5 all incorporate a very similar model, which we find really fits with what the market needs. And that's 12, 50, and 1,000-liter bioreactors, as well as N-1 perfusion technology, and 2 downstream trains for efficient maximized production. And Plant 4 also incorporates additional 6 10K bioreactors. So with all this put together, it's actually the largest capacity at a single site in the world. So we certainly have a lot happening here on our campuses. And then also we have drug product capability, vial filling lines 1 and 2. Our high-speed filling lines, which are fully operational, have been for quite some time. Both of these lines offer liquid and lyo capability. And then we're also looking to the future. So introducing pre-filled syringe lines. And this line is going to be operational by 2027, late 2027. This project is in progress currently at the moment. And then as part of our standalone ADC facility, we'll also have liquid and lyo capability there. This line will be GMP ready by early 2027. As part of this, we have manual, semi-automatic, and fully automatic visual inspection to serve all lines, as well as labeling and packaging. So this allows us to truly be end-to-end from drug substance through to drug product and finished product, all at the one site in the one location. So as part of executing our tech transfers, what is key to our success? And on this slide here, we have some of our key pillars that have helped us to have huge success as we've filled up these plants with products moving into commercial stage. We've done that with optimized tech transfers across all facilities. So at the top, we first focus on a strategic team with strong decision making. Do we have the correct people in the right positions, both on our client side, partner side, but also on our own side? Is the right expertise in the right areas? And then are those people empowered to make decisions? And when they need support, can they escalate up the chain smoothly and effectively? And this might seem like a simple thing, but it's something that's really critical to get right early on in the project. You're not going to waste time waiting on decisions. You're able to make decisions on time, straight away, and not delay the project. Templated documents. So as mentioned, we have the largest capacity in the world on site. So with that comes a wealth of experience of executing tech transfers. So we've seen a range of different modalities be introduced to our facilities, and also different kind of products, but also different kind of projects. So how these projects are executed. Some of our partners and clients might prefer different technology be used in terms of how we run meetings, how we track meetings, how we build schedules, etc. So we like to feel that we've come across all scenarios, and that means we have a template for everything. So that's helped us be flexible and smooth in terms of how we optimize for different types of tech transfers. On-site QC testing. This has been a huge advantage for us to do tech transfers fast, whereas we don't need to gather up samples and ship them to a testing site located in a different country or even a different continent. We can do it all on site here, right in a lab in the same facility that the product is produced. So this has really speeded things up, particularly on the DS tech transfers, where we do small scale verification runs, engineering runs. We see that data and we move to the next step, focusing on PPQ. Being able to do all that testing here on site has been a massive advantage for us. And then geographical position. So we're located in South Korea here, and many of our partners are located in the US or in Europe. So we actually leverage that time zone difference. So an example of this would be, let's say we are obviously writing a lot of documents as part of tech transfer. That document needs to be drafted, reviewed, we receive comments, we address comments, we answer questions, and we move to approval. So there's a lot of communication back and forward between our team that writes the document and the client team that reviews and finally approves the document. So we always set this up in such a way that we'll be writing the document or addressing our client comments where our clients are effectively sleeping, and they then start their day and we have the document ready for them. They'll review it while we're sleeping, and they have it ready for us when we come back online. So we're essentially working 24 hours around the clock, and we're really utilizing and leveraging that geographical position and time zone difference to our advantage. We're getting the most out of it. Really important that both teams align with this early on, and that we have good governance structure and ways of working and understanding in place at the very start, so we can make the most of this. And you're really expediting timelines to write documents faster with this approach. And the last two items relate to raw materials. So for long lead items, we make sure we have enough safety stock in place for these. So if we have any issues, we have the safety stock ready to go. We don't need to wait for timelines to get more material in. Let's say, for example, you have an issue in an engineering run with a raw material. Items such as resins and medias, we make sure that we've got enough safety stock there ready to go. So if we have any issues, it's not going to delay the project. And then standardized primary components. An example of this would be our drug product tech transfers, when we look at vials, stoppers, and seals. Standardizing these components as much as possible and then having stock on hand really helps us speed up our tech transfers as well. So this slide here is a bird's eye view of a drug substance tech transfer, and we'll look at more detail in the next slide. But Really, what are we trying to achieve? It's getting from the kickoff on the very left to commercialization on the very right as quick as possible. So we really focus on the middle piece. How can we expedite that? How can we do it faster? How can we understand any risks? And how can we mitigate against those risks? So first thing we'll do is our facility fit and gap analysis. So understand the difference in our facility, which is the receiving site, and the sending site facility, where this product is coming from. You know, do we need to procure any different CapEx equipment? If we do, we should be ordering it as quick as possible in case we've got long lead times. And then similarly on the raw materials, understanding the difference in the raw materials that have been used for this product in its early days, and then placing those orders and getting them in on time, or identifying alternatives and working with our partners to agree on those alternatives. So doing that early on is really critical to get a head start on your tech transfer. And then, as mentioned, we do all of the QC testing on site. So we're going to have to introduce those methods. So understanding what methods are going to be introduced, writing the master plans for that early, and kicking off method transfer as well, which is in itself a project, but starting that in good time to be able to have methods available for testing of engineering runs and then subsequently PPQ runs. We also complete verification runs at a smaller scale on site, so 10-liter scale. This really helps us understand the product and the process more. We might want to test or trial certain elements of the process, or even changes to the process if we're changing scales or scaling up. So this allows us to understand the product better, identify risks early on, and gives us greater comfort and confidence as we move to large-scale runs for engineering and PPQ. And then as part of tech transfer, before we get to PPQ, there may be requirements for additional scope, such as process characterization to better understand and define the process. And we have capability to do this on site here, and we often do it as part of tech transfers before we go to the commercial stage. So 3 points on this in terms of pulling it all together. It's proven expertise. You know, we have a team on site that's done multiple tech transfers for multiple products and multiple clients. So it's leveraging that expertise and experience, leveraging different issues that our team have come across. When we come across an unusual situation, we've almost always seen it before, and that really helps us to make decisions fast and share that information with our clients in terms of how they can proceed, and just leverage our experience for a smoother tech transfer. And then maximize efficiency. Areas such as we mentioned with the documentation approvals being completed around the clock, leveraging the geographical position. That's just one small example, but we try to incorporate this mindset across all of our projects and all stages of our projects. What can we do to make this more efficient? Are we doing this in the most efficient way possible? So having that mindset, both on our side and our client and partner side, is really key for success if we want to expedite and optimize the tech transfer. And then capability is the last one, capability to provide additional support. For example, if our client needs process characterization, completed, or additional study or additional testing, we're generally always able to accommodate that, and it keeps the process and the project on time and on track. So looking at a deeper dive, and this is our standard tech transfer timeline. So 6 months to engineering run, which we feel is above the industry norm. This is a faster tech transfer, which something we're proud of is that we always deliver on this timeline. And that's 6 months from kicking off our project to engineering run out of freeze. So again, looking a little bit more detailed, how do we get there? Because as we know, when you're in a busy project environment, weeks just go by fast, months go by fast. So you really need to make the most of every day to stay on track, especially if you want to complete a tech transfer in 6 months. So our major milestones that we're going to build our project around is completing our small scale runs, verification runs and testing those, moving into engineering run, testing the engineering run, and then moving to PPQ. So critical areas of this is understanding our cell bank requirements and delivering those working cell banks on site, on time, quickly, particularly when we have a lot of documentation needed to be able to release these for GMP runs and make it through customs clearance. Setting up your project in itself to do this early on and get all the right documentation in place is going to be key to avoid any delays for at-scale manufacturing. And then, as mentioned, the tech transfer is always going to be heavy on documentation, starting with our gap assessments to understand the difference in the sending site and the receiving site, writing our process control strategies for upstream and then for downstream, and then with the manufacturing batch records also feeding out and on from those documents as well. So it's always going to be heavy on documents, reviews, approvals, and getting comments from our partners and answering questions and updating documents in between. It's always going to be a key part of the project. So having really effective, clear documentation trackers as to how we do this, how we manage it, tracking where the document is, who it's with, how long it's been there. Being very organized in this and having good templated document tracker tools is going to be key for success in this area. And then, as mentioned, for raw material, we like to make sure we have long lead times items on hand with enough safety stock in place. So we place these orders as early as possible. Of course, 6 months tech transfer ensures that you don't have a raw material with a longer lead time than 6 months. And when we have this, we need to be creative, come up with alternatives, work with our vendor partners to try expedite timelines, to try get it on site on time. And then for the more standard raw materials that are more off-shelf items, we procure those closer to the engineering run outer freeze stage. As mentioned earlier, identifying any CapEx equipment is going to be critical, so placing that order on time and making sure we've accounted for everything with CapEx coming on site. It's not a case of just place the order. If you've got a 6-month lead time, you're good to go. Obviously, you need to receive it on site. If it's coming from a different country, you need to allow for shipping. You then need to allow for installation, validation, qualification, and then writing the documents to do that validation. So we need to do a really deep dive on an item like this and make sure that we don't get caught with not having enough time in the schedule as possible. And we often find when you do this exercise and really spend the time with a detailed deep dive on it up front, it saves you from any issues with timelines down the line. And then also analytical tech transfer, as mentioned, writing our master plans good and early, and then commencing our method transfers to bring the assays on site so we're ready to test that engineering run before we go into PPQ. And then finally, as mentioned, we have a number of large-scale bioreactors which we're transferring into. Mostly all is stainless steel. So with this comes some cleaning validation. So understanding those requirements early on and being prepared to execute on them then as well. So integrating our manufacturing services for biologics. This slide is actually a case study of a recent project that we successfully executed where we did both the DS and the DP on site here at Samsung Biologics. So we kicked off our DS tech transfer and completed that in 6 months. So hitting our standard timeline as usual for DS engineering run outer freeze. And we had a quick turnaround testing on site to then go into DS PPQ. So in parallel to completing the DS PPQ, we're working on our DP tech transfer to then do a DP engineering run and then be prepared to do a DP PPQ run. So in this instance, we use the DS that we produced from the DS PPQ to then fill into drug product on site in our DP line filling facility as well. So what this means is we went from our month number 1 kickoff of the DS project to a DP PPQ successfully filled, executed, and ready to go for report approval and then submission, with execution completing by month 16. So this is really an expedited tech transfer. So how do we get there? What do we leverage to achieve this type of success and timeline? It's implementing concurrent DS and DP AMT, so leveraging similarities across methods for DS and DP to reduce the overall work here. Accelerating the time to take a DS that's been produced and then filling it in the same facility. So we're completely eliminating logistics here in terms of shipping it from a DS site to a DP site. The time to receive that, go through customs clearance, go through shipping, set up shipping routes, all of that in itself is essentially a project. So we essentially remove a project by completing the DP on the same site where the DS was produced. And then we optimize our project management team. So in this instance, the same project management team would manage the DS project as would manage the DP project. So there's no handover of information required. There's no meetings required. We're essentially eliminating all of that, streamlining it and covering it under the one team. So this means there's no risk of miscommunications or additional time that's needed to arrange for logistics of moving DS to DP, from releasing DS to DP. We're managing it all within the one function, and that's been hugely successful for us when we execute these type of end-to-end projects. So, key focus area for our project management team in terms of pulling this all together, it's managing scope. So making sure that we're sticking to the original plan and the original scope that we intended to do. Of course, no project is perfect and requirements for extra work and changes will come up. So managing that change effectively, making sure we have endorsement from all of the functional areas and the leadership for those core functions are aligned with these changes. Communication, so clear and effective communication in terms of how we share information with our clients, how we run our meetings, and then how we understand our project governance and have that in place for escalation items to steering committees and more senior leaders for both ourselves and for our client side as well. And then as critical for this and the theme of this webinar is all about timeline, so managing that timeline. So building a really detailed schedule early on, right down to the daily level, really understanding where the critical path is, understanding the pain points and the risk of our schedule. That's going to be key for a successful, expedited and fast tech transfer. So scope, communication, and timeline are going to be key for success with an expedited tech transfer. So what makes a successful CDMO? What has been key to us? There's really five pillars here. Is without quality, you don't have anything in terms of GMP manufacturing. So quality is at the core of everything we do, not just in our quality organization, but across all functions at Samsung Biologics. Expertise, so making sure we have the right people in the right roles, as mentioned earlier. We're leveraging expertise from different project scenarios that our team has seen, and then utilizing that for successful projects going forward. Trust is a key area of this. We have multiple clients and partners, or we've done more than one tech transfer. So we're moving on to, a second, third, fourth, fifth. This is key. Trust is key for this if we want to be able to continue to build on our relationships and do more tech transfers with our projects. And then speed. Speed has been absolutely critical to being able to do tech transfers in 6-month timelines. And again, this is a mindset, as we mentioned earlier, about are we doing everything in the most efficient way? Could this be done in a faster way, but while also doing it properly and doing it with the right level of quality and focus that it needs? And then on the bottom, regulatory track records. All of our facilities have been inspected by multiple agencies multiple times. We have a vast amount of product approvals. And this is a part, I think personally, really makes a tech transfer worthwhile. When you complete an expedited tech transfer, it's tough work. It's not easy. But when you see that product go through PPQ, regulatory submission, and then ultimately regulatory approval for those products to go out to the market and serve patients, and that's where the satisfaction really comes from. And that's something that helps us to look back on our project and be really proud of what we've achieved. So then finally, just to summarize, enabling efficient and seamless tech transfer. What's been key for us is integrated capabilities. So end-to-end, DS to DP, being able to support the extra scope on site cuts out a lot of unnecessary work if you're working between different sites at different locations. So that's helped us expedite timelines for our clients, optimize timelines. So we accelerate this through parallel activities. Again, the small example we gave earlier about leveraging geographical location and timeline to write documents faster is just one small area where we do this, but we have this focus across multiple areas and multiple functional disciplines across our projects. And then customized project management. So as mentioned, if we're doing a DS and a DP tech transfer together, the same team will manage that and manage it with flexibility. As mentioned, our clients might want to do different systems or use different software to build schedules or track projects or run meetings. And we're customized to what our client needs to be flexible to be able to support that. So that concludes today's webinar. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope it was beneficial for you in understanding how we can expedite the tech transfer. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
All right, thanks, Pierce. Great presentation. To our audience, if you have not had a chance to submit your questions yet, please do so now. Q&A box is on your left side of your screen underneath the video. Also, real quick, we do have some related content for you available below the slide. You can click on that to download. And also, we have a few questions for you if you wouldn't mind answering our survey to the right. But Pierce, I know I don't have a lot of time with you, so let's get in and see how many questions we can get through. With so many plants, how do you structure your PM organization?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's something we've actually spent a lot of time working on and adjusting as we've grown, right? We're introducing a new plant every couple of years. So we don't want a scenario where we need to reorg every time that happens. So we've structured our PM organization to be client focused. So throughout our CMO and CDO PM organizations, we don't structure based on plant or by modality, such as DS or DP or MAB or mRNA or ADC. We focus by client. So as mentioned, the majority of our clients have more than one product, more than one tech transfer with us. That could be in the early tech transfer stage, or it could be commercial for the last number of years. So our PM teams are assigned based on client. So not by plant or not by modality, it's client focused. So if that client is doing DS or DP at a various scale, it all falls under the one group. So that helps us have that continuity across the organization and make it more efficient, but also build relationships and maintain them. So, you know, our project management team has been working with some of our client teams, the same people working with each other week in, week out for multiple years. That's back to the point about trust, that we build that trust with that team just over time, over having a track record and being in that constant communication on a regular and routine basis. We'll also meet face to face when our clients come visit us. And that really helps pull it all together. So yeah, to summarize and answer the question, we have a client-focused project management team rather than breaking it up by plant or so on.
All right, great. Thank you so much for that. One other question for you. What level of digitalization is used when managing projects?
Yeah, great question. And I think this is an area of focus that different clients are really starting to be interested in, particularly in areas, you know, such as AI is a focus in recent times. And we're always trying to use different tools to maximize how we can get the most out of our projects. One area that we've recently introduced is our Samsung Client Portal. So this is a location where our clients will have their own login. They can log on and get all of the information related to their projects. So whether it's processing information, batch release information, timeline information, it's all automatically transferred straight out to our client portal. So this kind of takes away from the old school method of emailing large Excel files or having to send daily emails for campaign updates or how a manufacturing process is performing. All of that information just goes straight out to our clients. So that's been live now since last year, and we're seeing really positive feedback from our clients. This is helping them be more efficient and more organized when they need to report this information to their own internal organization. So that's a key area of digitalization that we're really leveraging, and has been a huge success. Other areas are, of course, using different software to track and manage projects, to build schedules. And then on the plant level, we have full electronic manufacturing batch record as well, which obviously brings huge benefits to processing and how we execute on the floor.